Hello. Today I'm going to be making bread. Bread's a very big subject. A few years ago I was in the south of France visiting a monastery, St. Madeleine. The monks there were making the most beautiful olive bread, and that's what I'm going to make for you today. So if we go around my table and look at the ingredients, I can show you what goes into it. First of all, I have my sourdough starter. I'll show you how to make that later. In here I have wholemeal flour, strong white unbleached flour, water, green and black pitted olives, salt, and of course olive oil. First of all, we put in our strong wholemeal flour. And then we make a separate well at the side and put in our salt. And we make a well in the centre. Then into this we put our water. And then of course we start to mix. Now I'm going to put my dough out onto the slab here. Clean my dish out. So what I actually do to knead this, I put flour on my hands so that it doesn't stick, and then I use my scraper to bring it all together. Now the way you tell when this is done is by a test of stretching it so you can see that the gluten has formed. In other words, it's a case of kneading until this is a solid piece of bread. Now it may seem very sticky at the moment, but the fact is that this will come together really quite nicely as we go on. And don't worry, it will come together. And so, there's my alarm for the bread. And if you look, you'll see it's risen to, well over twice its size. So what we do now is we turn the bread out onto the tray here. It should come out fairly easily because I oiled the tin. And then I bring it together gently. Now, very important, olives. We spread the olives out on the dough, kneading gently to incorporate all the olives into the dough. And we've added olive oil into this, so the flavour is really quite powerful. This is my proving basket for my second proof. So I'm going to sprinkle some corn flour in there, and then I'm going to put my lovely bread into the basket to prove. I'm going to wait at least another hour for this to prove a second time. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to have a glass of Beaujolais. Now, I'm old enough to remember this time of year I used to wait for the Beaujolais Nouveau arriving in England. There used to be a competition. Of course, they don't do it anymore, but I still love Beaujolais, and especially at this time of year. And I must say, this is a wine that would go very well with olive bread. Bread's now been rising in the basket for 1 hour, so I'm now going to very gently turn it out onto a baking sheet, like so. It's a wonderful thing. And then I'm going to cut into it. This helps the bread rise once it goes into the oven. So we cut and we cut and we cut and we cut. And we're not timid about cutting. We get stuck in there. And then this goes into a preheated oven And so now I've taken our bread out of the oven, it's finished baking, and there's always a good way of testing whether your bread's done. You lift it up and you tap the bottom, and that hollow sound means there's no water left in there. And there we have it. That's just like the monks from St. Madeleine's made.